Conversations That Matter is a partner program for the Centre for Dialogue at Simon Fraser University. The production of this program is made possible thanks to the support of the following and viewers like you.
Welcome. You're here partly because Global 2016 is going on in Vancouver.
That's right.
And out of this, I learned there's a thing called a B Corp or a B Corporation. What the heck is that?
B Corp. B Corp is the abbreviation for Certified Beneficial Corporation. And it's a new certification for business that is also a global movement. It's like LEED is for green buildings or fair trade is for coffee, except that it applies to the company as a whole. And if your company is a certified B Corp, then what that tells people is that your company has a purpose that is social and environmental as well as financial, and that your company is more transparent, has stricter governance rules, and is more accountable than the average company.
So, isn't that kind of the way that we were supposed to be running our businesses anyways? Why do we have to have a B Corp designation? What benefit does that bring to anybody?
Well, lots of business benefits, which we can talk about in a moment, but the big thing that differentiates it from a traditional company is to be a B Corp, you also have to put into your act of incorporation or your governing charter the explicit notion that the company's purpose is to create a value that is social or environmental as well as financial, and that the company responds to stakeholders that include the shareholder. Now that seems like a fuss-budgety notary thing to
Yes, it does.
look at,
Yeah.
but it's very powerful. What it does is set aside the traditional company focus on short-term shareholder value and shield the company owner or manager to create the broader social value as part of that business that the company is designed to do. More powerfully for us at BDC, we're the bank that's dedicated exclusively to entrepreneurs, and the reason why we noticed this movement in certification is because it sprung up in conversation with some of our clients as a new interesting movement. It corresponds more to the kind of company that some people want to create. So a small but growing number of people don't want to be shoehorned into a traditional company or obliged to create another vehicle like a charity. They want to say, or they want to use a company to create social and environmental value. Mm-hmm. And the B Corp philosophy, the B Corp certification, permit them to do that.
As you're saying that, I'm hearing, okay, like, don't be driven by quarterly results. Mm-hmm. But if you're a publicly trading company, how do you get out of that cycle of I need to create shareholder value and give my shareholders the sense that they need an appropriate return on their investment now, not 5 years from now or 25 years from now, because I'm not that big-hearted.
That's the big, deep question. It can't happen without shareholder agreement. And the B Corp movement's growth in recent years has been such that we've started to see enter some large publicly traded companies, most notably Natura, which is a big Brazilian cosmetics firm. Mm-hmm. They, at an annual general assembly, put it to their shareholders. They asked, would it be okay if we sought certification? Understand that that means the end of the quarterly focus. And shareholders agreed.
Well, I can imagine it means the end of a whole bunch of other things in the cosmetic industry as well.
It can.
Because there's ethical issues around the way that they develop their products.
That's right. And so the shareholder company managers and owners and the shareholders agreed that the B Corp approach and the B Corp certification was a better way to manage all of those things, reduce those negatives, and build longer term value. So we ask those shareholders to set aside the quarterly glasses and think in terms of the value they want to create over 5, 10, or 20 years. And they agreed. And Natura is a large publicly traded B Corp. And it's interesting, one of the biggest companies around, Unilever, has also floated publicly the possibility of seeking certification.
Why? What's the attraction to them that they go, we want to do this? They've been pretty successful under the current model.
Quite. And they're a very sophisticatedly responsible corporation. There are all sorts of benefits. Benefits that come from facts that are bigger than BDC and bigger than Unilever. we as people, when we act as consumers and employees and investors, are changing. Millennials are a great example. Polls or surveys consistently show that a huge majority of them are looking for something in their job that is more meaningful than money to pay the rent. If you ask millennials what the role of business in society is, they'll answer to create good for society.
Okay, but where
So,
did that come from? Like, why is that emerging within this group that
That's
is
a
now?
really big, deep question, and I don't know that I have the answer for it, but what I do know is that millennials run to B Corps. You don't have to have an HR department because there's a lineup outside your door. At BDC, for example, we have 2,000 employees across Canada, and fully 1/3 of the new recruits tell us that they've come to BDC because we are a B Corp, or ask upon arrival, are you a B Corp?
They're actually asking.
They're asking that specific question. And
'Cause
my
I'm
colleagues
going,
in
what
HR
the
are
heck is a
delighted.
B Corp? And, yeah.
As I did too when I first encountered it in a conversation with one of our clients. I thought, what? How interesting is that? Tell me more. And the more I learn, the more I see there are other business benefits. It differentiates you from your competitors. There are a lot of consumers who pay attention to the impact of the dollar they spend. And there are a lot of consumers who look for companies that are like B Corps, or their head will turn toward them. There are also an increasing number of investors who are looking for this kind of investment. They are people who are paying attention to the broader consequences of their investment dollar, and the employees, as I mentioned.
So when you get a university or a pension fund that say that they're only going to invest in ethical vehicles,
That's right.
this is what they're looking for.
A B Corp company would be the kind of company that they would seek. They usually also take it as a proxy for high quality management. If you and your company get through the B Corp certification process, which is very rigorous, you can't if you're a badly managed company. At BDC, and we're a bank, we have grown to equate B Corp certification with rigor. So a company asking for a loan for a business project, if it's a B Corp, we know that that's a well-managed company, and that's a big factor in our decision because we have to pay attention to where we invest our money.
I just got to get you to hang on there for a second while we take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back.
Conversations That Matter is a not-for-profit program made possible thanks to the charitable support of the following and from viewers like you. Please visit conversationsthatmatter.tv and help us to continue to produce this program.
Okay, let's get to like what you have to go through in a moment. But when I hear you talk about this, basically what you're saying is it's a way of advertising to the public. We're ethical. We, have purpose. We have social license.
That's
We have
right.
all these things. Can't a good marketing campaign do the same thing?
But that would be quickly unmasked as phony. Because if there's one thing in society that's globalized and gone internet with greater effectiveness than companies that make those claims, it's civil society organizations who take great delight in unmasking them as phony.
Accountability.
That's right. So if you make a claim on the public square, I am ABC, it is inevitable that someone you don't even know is going to start scratching around to confirm that you are. And when you're not, they'll find.
They'll go, you're partly A, you're not B, and I didn't see any
That's
C
right.
either.
Exactly. And then you look like a fool. And then your brand identity and reputation take a hit, and then your sales plummet. And I forgot to mention that at the beginning, another feature of strength of the B Corp certification is that you have to recertify every second year. So you certify the process, and then every 2 years, unless you recertify, it expires.
So it has to have the date on the stamp as well.
That's right. And the B Corp people are continually refining and sharpening and making more sophisticated their performance evaluation. So recertifying is actually a little tougher than certifying.
So you say the B Corp people, and that's B Lab, isn't it? Or
That's right,
Like,
B
what
Lab.
exactly is B Lab?
B Lab is a nonprofit organization headquartered in the United States. It
So
started there.
B Corp is an American concept?
The concept popped into the mind of 3 Americans, but because it found such resonance around the world, the B Corp movement has spread to 40 countries.
Over what time?
About a decade. which is pretty fast. And there are now 1,600 B Corps around the world. The greatest number are in the United States. Canada is competing with Latin America for second place, but there's been recent terrific growth in both Europe and Asia and Australia.
Huh. So when you come to Globe, why is it important to be talking about B Corps, especially from the perspective of your own company? How can you come in there, strutting your stuff, saying we're a B Corp, and why does that matter at Globe?
We see Globe as a particularly big pool of people who are or would be receptive to the idea of B Corp certification. Mm-hmm. These are people who, with their companies, seek to create usually an environmental, but often a social value as well. And we see the B Corp certification and movement as almost like an evolution of the general or traditional corporate social responsibility and sustainability movements, which can tend to focus on community investments of company profits or attenuating the negatives in the production of our goods and services. The B Corp takes it from do no harm to create some good
mantra,
with your business.
Isn't it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, let's reject this idea that you have balance between those two things, and let's put broad value creation into the business model and activities. Huh. So we at BDC are at Globe because to start any gathering of entrepreneurs is of interest to us because that's our purpose, they are our purpose. And we thought that this group would be particularly interested in the idea of B Corps.
So you talked about the rigorous scrutiny which a company undergoes to do this. Tell me what that process is like.
Sure.
And what was it like for you?
Bracing.
Really?
Yes, oh yes. We've just completed our recertification process. So we've been a B Corp for 2 years now. And it's almost identical to certification in that you go online, you open your online account, and you answer all of the questions in their performance evaluation. There are 5 categories of questions: governance, employees, community, environment, and the impact of your products and services. You send those in, and then you get a request from B Lab. Please provide documentation proof for the following X number of answers. Mm-hmm. And you have to provide that. We then got a visit from the B Lab people.
They show up at your door?
They showed up at our door. Lovely people who rifled through our files, who went through our portal, who interviewed our colleagues to confirm that over here where you say X, show me proof, show me the stubs. Kind of like a locker check.
It's like an audit.
It is. The word audit is not used, but it felt awfully like an audit. And it was very, as I said, it was very bracing.
What made it bracing?
Well, BDC is like any organization that contains humans. We're busy, we're running around doing things. How should I say it? We have to take extra care to document and prove everything that we do. And sometimes in life things get busy. So in some of our questions, I realized it is true we do it, but I haven't documented it. Clearly that's an area where we have to improve. Let's put an X next to that, and next time we're going to be more rigorous. And so in our experience of finding it bracing and finding those areas in where we need to improve, we experience firsthand the reason why we as bankers equate it with rigor when we look at potential clients. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's a terrific and comprehensive way to see on one sheet where your strengths are and where you need to improve.
This is our second of 3 breaks. We'll be back in a moment.
Conversations That Matter is a not-for-profit program made possible thanks to the charitable support of the following and from viewers like you. Please visit conversationsthatmatter.tv and help us to continue to produce this program.
So you're going through the process of, introverted thinking in a way, self-examination. What did you learn about your organization that made you raise your eyebrows and go, oh my gosh, we need to improve?
We can track our clients a little better in particular ways. We're very good at it, but we can still get better. We can up our game in the environmental category. At present, we quantify our energy consumption and our greenhouse gas emissions. It's time we move to a second step of actively managing to reduce.
But how do you do that? You can say that, but that's not easy to do.
No, it's not. Well, it wouldn't be easy for you or I.
Yeah.
But you can hire the people who have the expertise, who can do it lickety-split. It's just a decision. I was delighted to see our high scores in the impacts of our products and services. That to me was the most meaningful.
Does it, by extension, then start to change the nature of the way that you're looking at those different ventures that you're going to get behind?
They can, oh yeah, that's exactly. It prods us to reflect on those very same questions. Like, we're strong here, could we be stronger? We did well over here, we reached Group A. Are there other Group A's that our radars haven't picked up yet? It does trigger strategic reflection on what you're doing as an organization and how you can improve.
I can imagine somebody watching this right now going, yeah, okay, well that all sounds good, but how does it have any direct bottom line effect? Or is it, like you were saying earlier, we're now moving into a workspace, a business space where, yeah, you got to make money, but it's not the overriding purpose for the business. And are you seeing that shift in your own company?
Well, BDC is a bank that's different from any other that I've ever encountered. Our purpose is support for entrepreneurs. So you couldn't come and borrow money for us to buy a pool or anything. We can only consider you as a client if you're a small business entrepreneur who wants to launch a business project.
Or expand or grow.
Expand or grow. Yeah, there's a huge breadth there of things you can do. And what it does do is crystallize in the minds of all 2,000 employees what exactly our purpose is. And that has a powerfully galvanizing effect. It makes people really, really proud to work there. It focuses us on the most important thing. It has other benefits as well. We've had clients cross the street for us. We want to bank with a B Corp bank. I'm coming to you for that.
They've openly stated that this is part of their criteria around who they want to work with.
Quote,
as a financial
I want to
institution.
bank with a B Corp bank. And that's typical because when you become a certified B Corp company, you enter a pool of people, like-minded entrepreneurs, who actually seek to do business with each other. That's another business benefit for people joining the movement. They're put into a pool of like-minded people that is a big pool of business opportunities. So in addition to the ones I've mentioned, it differentiates us from our peers. It draws in potential employees. It draws in some clients too. It galvanizes people internally. Employee engagement goes through the ceiling. We do, every 2 years, extensive employee engagement surveys. And the year after we were certified, responsibility, out of nowhere, entered the top 5 positive drivers of employee engagement of 2,000 people. And most of our managers attribute that to the simplicity and the clarity of the B Corp certification.
Our final break, and we'll be back in a moment.
Conversations That Matter is a not-for-profit program made possible thanks to the charitable support of the following and from viewers like you. Please visit conversationsthatmatter.tv and help us to continue to produce this program.
As in, I want to assume responsibility, I want to take it on. Don't most people want to
No,
not me.
Our experience is the opposite.
Isn't that fabulous?
Yeah. Our experience is the opposite.
And so you're noticing it also in your own recruitment then, about the quality of people who are applying to come and work for you.
That's right. And I don't have the exact numbers at my fingertips, but I do recall seeing in lots of places that past a certain income level, I think it's like $65,000 or $75,000, money ceases to be important. What people are looking for is meaning. They're looking for a purpose in their workplace, and they want to feel proud about what they do for a living. They want to know that what they did every day from 9 to 5 makes a contribution of some kind that they consider meaningful. And what we're able to say is, if you want to bank on real people, Canadians and the real economy, creating and growing businesses, creating local prosperity, well, we're the place for you because that's all we do.
I guess the most important thing out of this is that I guess when you become a B Corp, you become trusted.
That's true.
And
get
when
instant
you
trust.
and okay, but let's say you want to develop a resource or something like that. Does that help to gain you social license and make it so that you can navigate that whole public engagement process easier?
It would help. It does, of course, bring trust. There's a question beneath your good question, and that is becoming a B Corp entry into a perfect club? And the answer is no. The B Corp certification and movement is not a stamp that says you're perfect. It says that you're trying and you've made significant progress and that you're certifiably very good. And you're trying to use business as a force for good in society. But there is nothing exclusive or prohibitive in the movement. But if you had a business that was dependent on society around you perceiving you as trustworthy and perceiving you as fair and trying, the B Corp certification will go a long, long way to making that case for you. So,
in the world in which we live and that we're growing into, being B Corp certified is good for business.
Totally, totally. Think long term, think social license to operate, think broad. It's advantageous.
And it's good for all.
Yes. Yeah. And what's, I think, the most powerful about it is the way it corresponds to the increasing number of people that we see who want to do that. They want to create a company that creates that broader good. So not only is it beneficial for existing benefits to think in these terms and seek the certification, but these people are the future.
Well, now you're making me feel like an optimist, because if more people are doing that, then we are addressing what we perceive to be and know are the real challenges ahead of us. And so it speaks of a bright future.
It does, it does. Well, it speaks of the physical presence of people who want to use companies to help create that bright future.
Yeah.
Bright futures are built by strong public sectors and robust civil societies, but the power of the private sector to create that good is unsurpassed.
Yeah.
And if they're able to do it and they fly, good you go. I have the coolest job in Canada. I get to meet people like this almost every week. Like, these people are the most fun, creative, purpose-driven, like, dedicated people you ever want to meet, and they're not dominant now, but I think they might be.
So you go through life believing that there's a bright future ahead of us.
I do. Our challenges are big and our challenges are many, and there is nothing Pollyannish about this. But it's hard not to feel confidence and optimism when you meet the people that I get to meet in the B Corp movement.
Fabulous. Thank you very much for coming in and sharing this with us.